Today's video is going to be taking a look at the second part of Unit 3. Unit 3 is our unit on cells. During Part 1, we talked about the structures and functions that are happening inside of the cells. In terms of structures, we were talking about all of the different organelles that cells have and the differences between prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells, and then the jobs of some of those organelles, so their functions. Part 2 is talking about homeostasis and transport. So remember, one of the characteristics or unifying themes of living things is that they have to maintain some sort of homeostasis or balance, and a cell has to do that too. And the way they do that is by regulating what can be transported into and out of the cell. The part of the cell that we focus on when we're talking about homeostasis and transport is the cell membrane. So that's what we're going to get into first, talking about the different parts of the cell membrane and how they are involved in homeostasis and transport. If you remember, when we were studying the cell membrane, sometimes also called the plasma membrane, we said that it's a phospholipid bilayer. So phospholipid bilayer. And remember, bi means two. So it's going to have two layers of phospholipids. Remember back to Unit 2 when we were talking about lipids, we said that these are all fats, oils, and waxes. And we thanked our lipids for making us waterproof if we didn't dissolve and go down the shower drain that morning. So this is bringing it all together. Phospholipids are important parts of biological membranes that provide a waterproof covering. So thank you, phospholipids, for making sure that we don't dissolve when we take our showers and that our cells are able to remain intact. It's those non-polar molecules that don't dissolve in water that gives us our ability to be waterproof. So this is a phospholipid. That. Okay? It has a hydrophobic head, water-hating head, and has a hydrophilic tail. So the tails don't mind being immersed in a fluid-like substance. When you think about the cell membrane, remember we said it's a bilayer. So here's one side, here's the other side. If we continued this cell membrane all the way around the cell, we could imagine that this is the inside of the cell and this is the outside of the cell. So your phospholipids are an important part of your cell membrane, as are these integrated proteins. These are called protein channels. And they act like a little tunnel for materials to be able to move into and out of the cell. Now, the phospholipid is sometimes called the fluid mosaic model because these phospholipids aren't rigid. They're not stuck together like with super glue. They're kind of just floating around next to each other. So what that means is certain substances are going to be able to just kind of seep through this semi-permeable membrane, either going into the cell or coming out of the cell. All right. So this is a pretty basic illustration of our phospholipid bilayer or our cell membrane. It's going to be involved in keeping balance in the cell and regulating what gets transferred into and out of the cell.